Hi, I'm Melanie, and we're starting up this art channel to sort of talk about what we're working on since we've graduated college, and also how it relates to our past work and sort of what's inspiring our work right now. So, to start off, what I'm personally going to talk about is sort of what my past work was and what I'm working on right now. And then hopefully I'll be able to get some pictures into this video so you can sort of see what my new stuff looks like. So first off, I'm going to talk about my old work, which starting in college, I was sort of working with ideas of showing people things that they didn't really want to see or talk about, and it started a lot in printmaking and making etched steel plates of images of like creatures that I just created from previous doodles and things like that. And I think that, I was sort of putting in my interest in like video games and comics and animations and things like that into my work as well. So with printmaking, I didn't really stay in that because it was a pretty long process and it just wasn't something I was too interested in. It's more like how I deal with painting, in that it's something I can merge with just like my doodles and my spare time, but it's not really something that I put a lot of energy into. So with that, I got into photography, and a lot of my photographic work was involving an interest in beauty and somewhat of self-awareness and a little bit of spirituality that I was learning about at the time. My first photographic series was called Mother Nature, and it was about how women sort of blend in with nature, in the sense that beauty and nature are sort of two things that work together a lot. And women are sort of sexualized a lot in society, but my issue was that there are women who don't really mind being sexualized, or they enjoy sort of having this sexual personality, and they're not really trying to push that away from who they are as a person. So that series was sort of about beauty and nature and how women are beautiful, but also they can be crazy and wild and sexual beings, and they don't really have to push that personality away from themselves. My second series was called Animal Inside, and that series was really about this belief that people have a spirit animal or a spiritual presence in their lives, and it's really a like Wiccan and Indian belief that people have this spiritual totem that represents them as a human being. And I didn't really know much about that when I started the series, and I was just sort of getting into learning about that sort of concept that people are represented by animals. So for that series, I sort of worked with the idea of facades and people not really showing them their true selves when they first meet someone, and only really showing it to people who get closer to them and really personal. So that series sort of had images where people were sort of stripped down and, vulnerable in a sense. And what I did was I had them all wear these animal masks. which I sewed onto the images. And the whole point was that if you got close to the images, you could take the mask off and you could see the face underneath and see the real person underneath. So that was really about, getting into the idea of spirit totems and spirit animals, and also this sort of facade that people hide behind. So my most recent series, Transform Become Be, was really something that took me maybe like 2 seconds to figure out that I wanted to do this. I spent the whole summer before my senior year of college sort of looking for something that I could do for my senior show. I didn't want it to be related to anything I've done in the past. I wanted it to be something bold, new, and very much me. And I didn't want it to have to be something that somebody else wanted for me to make. So really what Transform Become Be was about was my personal spirit totem, which happens to be a rabbit. So what I did for, this series was I thought of what makes a rabbit and what makes someone with a rabbit totem have that totem. And this series was really a lot about ritual and the tribal aspects and spiritual aspects of my life, and not just about, spirit totems in general. So what I did for this project was I sort of created this costume that someone else was wearing and had them, go through all the things that a rabbit would go through, like living in the cold, living in the heat, night, day, and also sort of these rituals that this creature would participate in. So it wasn't just about being a rabbit, it was also about like ritual in this sort of made-up creature's life. Those are my past series. So currently I'm working on 2 series of work, and they're both sort of the same sort of feeling that Transform Become Be had for me, which was really just like this magical spiritual world that I was putting myself into. So first I'm going to talk to you about a series that I haven't really dived quite into yet. It's called Mama Said No, and it's sort of a weird name for what the idea of the project is, and it's really about magic and how children, believe in all these things, and they sort of live their lives in this magical world. And this idea came up because there's been a quote that's been going around like Facebook and Tumblr and things like that, and it's like, if you believe in something hard enough until it's proven that it's not true, it can't exist somewhere. So you can believe in unicorns all you want, and until you know that they don't exist, they might exist. So why I chose Mama Said No is because, when you get older, your parents keep saying, that doesn't exist, this doesn't exist, Santa Claus isn't real, the Easter Bunny's not real, fairies aren't real. And I wanted to sort of say, you know what, they are real. Magic is real. Spirits are real, fairies are real. Those sorts of things. And to get into this whole series, I've been sort of bringing these things into my life. So like, I created a fairy garden to put up in my room, and watered it, gave the fairies food, things like that. And it's really fun. It's bringing, sort of a nostalgia back and making it really enjoyable to work on this series. But the other thing I'm enjoying with this series is I have a niece and nephew who I'm placing into this series, and sort of their fun, not really knowing how the world works sort of view on everything. And it's sort of funny because I get to, try and understand how they're seeing the world and how they're living through nature and experiencing different things. And sometimes, things that they find fun or exciting are creepy or not something I'd normally participate in or understand. So it's really fun to try and, get into their world a little bit. But the other series I'm actually working on a bit more is called Cleanse. And this sort of came up because I found a new fascination with dead and decaying things. And it's not because they're dead or they're decaying or whatever, but I'm sort of finding a new beauty in things that exist in our world that people sort of toss aside or call disgusting or dirty or whatever. The idea for Cleanse is that there is beauty in decay and beauty in death. A lot of the process for for Cleanse is just trying to find things that normally you wouldn't look at or take a lot of time to look at. I think that's it for new series stuff. And yeah, I guess that's it for this week. I'm Melanie, and I will see you later. Bye. And all I want is to know now that